Our next award is the Distinguished Non-Alumni Award, which might be seen as the award for overcoming obstacles. And this award recognizes an individual who's achieved distinction in the legal profession, but who is not a graduate of the University of Missouri School of Law. Our recipient this year is Steve Owens, General Counsel for the University of Missouri System, who will be introduced by Bunky Wright, in the class of 1964.
Thank you very much, Dean. You didn't have to bring up what you're graduating. You know, this is very interesting from the standpoint of view that when I was first contacted on this by Steve, he said, "Bunky, you only have 2 minutes." And he said, "Maybe 3, depending on what you say. But if it gets going good enough, just stay up there as long as you want to." Well, much to your relief, I have a pretty bad throat. Can't speak too long, we'll be here all night. But it is really a delight to be able to present Steve to you. Having the charge to say only good things made it rather limiting. The first good thing I can say is he was born in Kansas City, Missouri in 1955. The reason that's important, if it hadn't happened, we wouldn't be here tonight. He was educated in Springfield, came to the University of Missouri, graduated undergraduate school in 1977. While in undergraduate school, he made it a point of letting me know that he did letter in tennis for 3 years. I didn't even know they had a tennis game. But he was a letterman for 3 years. He was the president of QDBH, which is an honorary that though us common students in undergraduate school had to study to figure out what that was. It was quite an honor. And Steve had many accomplishments in undergraduate school. I don't know why, but he ventured to Wake Forest for law school. He graduated from Wake Forest in 1980. Now I know you're tired of listening to all these facts and figures, so we'll get to the important stuff. His lovely wife is Cindy. She's here this evening. Has 3 boys. 2 of them are here tonight, Michael and David. As the older son is still in school at UMKC. So you might say that he bleeds black and gold, even though he went to Wake Forest and became a deacon. Now, it will come as no surprise to you that he also advised me that of the important things that he did in life was he was the basketball coach for the teams of all 3 of his sons until they were in the 8th grade. None of those boys, though they're very talented and brilliant, none of them played D1 basketball. None of them were All-Americans. The important thing is Steve has the experience as a coach. We will get to it later as to why that is extremely important. Out of law school, he clerked for a federal judge for a year, and then went with Stinson Law Firm that he was with until such times he moved to university. I will not spend much time about his activities at Stinson, other than to tell you that he was truly an outstanding trial lawyer. He was in complex business litigation considerably. He became involved in NCAA matters, representing universities and coaches. I got to know him when he was representing a coach at such time as I was representing the 800-pound gorilla. At any rate, he was outstanding in that area. He was recognized as one of the outstanding attorneys representing women's coaches in this country. Now, what does all of this mean? It means that in the year I forget what it was. It was 2008, I believe, or 2007. Why, we had to have a board of curator meeting in Kansas City, and we needed a nice office space to have it. Contacted Steve, and we went to Stinson, Morrison, Hector for a very nice conference room and had our meeting. And it had to do with hiring somebody or something. It obviously wasn't a secret meeting, okay? I don't need any more editorials about how I thought I made the sunshine law. But at the end of that, while we were starting our search for general counsel, Steve came in and sat down and just being nice talking. And he said, "What does general counsel do anyway?" Well, I started talking to him and decided this was a project right there. And not that I had anything to do with it. I did not lie at all. I didn't tell the whole truth, but I didn't lie with what I said. I brought up the University of Missouri General Counsel's office and how it was a thrill and a privilege to be the General Counsel of one of the greatest universities in the country. I said, I know that, with your position in this firm, leadership, you'd have no interest and you probably wouldn't have a chance at it anyway. Reverse psychology. Well, the next thing I knew, he applied for it, and thank goodness, he was selected to be only the fifth general counsel in the history of the University of Missouri. That means all the previous general counsels worked for years and years and years. We're old, bald-headed men who really enjoyed life, and see how we made it plush for him. Nice young man, retired here in Columbia, Missouri. But anyway, he wanted to know if I'd stay on a while to help. I said, yeah, for exactly 2 months, maybe 3. So he started in 2008. I went into a closet that he found for me to reside in. Stayed in that closet, and I decided after about 2 weeks that, hell, this guy's smart. He doesn't need anybody around here. Particularly if they're going to treat me like this and stick me in the closet, make me pay for my own coffee. I offered to help in any way that I could. He has very generously called me twice in 6 years. Both times he knew the answer. But he was just testing me out to see if I remembered what I'd put in a memorandum. And, well, I won't say what my comments were about the memorandum. But at any rate, back to him. He is an outstanding general counsel. He then became the interim president of this university system in 2011. I enjoyed kidding him a wee bit about that. He served in that capacity for a little over a year. And I might add, did a totally fantastic job. He was very astute, very outstanding. And if you ever want to ask anybody how a president has performed in office, you give a general counsel a couple of drinks of scotch and water, and you'll find out how good they really did perform. Steve did yeoman's work. He then, just this past November, was moved over to Columbia campus for a period of about 2 months, maybe 3, as the interim chancellor while they were searching for a chancellor. And one of the greatest moments of my life was the fact that Steve went over there on November 15th, I believe it was. And on November the 16th, it was announced by somebody that they thought they would be able to have a real live chancellor by the 1st of February. And I picked up the phone and called him. I said, man, I thought they'd finally found a job you could do. But after 1 day in office, they decided it's not going to take 6 months to find a chancellor. We're going to have a chancellor quick. He performed admirably, really, on the Columbia campus as the chancellor. And I would like to say that having been in the position that he occupies here at this university, it is one of joy. It's one of 24/7. And it's one that takes someone, excluding myself now, but someone with the ability, they have the legal ability and they have the common sense. And above all, they've got the heart that they love the University of Missouri and they represent the university. And it's been my pleasure to introduce what I think is one of the greatest general counsels in this country, Steve Owens.
Well, thank you, Bucky. I think it was a small office, and pretty soon he caught on to the fact that there was a lock on the outside of the door. But it wasn't for about 2 or 3 months, and finally we had to let it go. I do want to thank the law school. This is quite an honor for me, especially as a non-alum. When Dean Myers called me about this, we were both on cell phones. We had a bad connection. And I thought he said that I'd been selected for the non-distinguished alumnus. And I quickly accepted. So it's nice to get here and actually find out that the award is something different. I'm glad that every speaker thus far has talked about what I wanted to talk about. I want to talk about my family, but you stole that. But I do want to introduce Cindy, the former First Lady of the university and the current permanent First Lady of the Owens household. My wife, Cindy Owens. My youngest son, David, who is a junior here at Mizzou. And my middle son, Michael, who is a third-year law student, counting down the days to graduation. Unfortunately, he's been counting down the days for quite some time. I think the entire third year. I'm very happy that they're here. I don't get to talk to the law school much because it's, I'm an outsider and it's kind of a cult-like thing. But on this occasion, I do want to convey my admiration for the law school's faculty and its alums. And that admiration, Judge, is probably best illustrated by the Norm Stewart story, which I was going to use, but you used it. But it's a great story about the turtle. You find a turtle on the fence post, you know someone helped him get there. And I've been very fortunate to observe the MU School of Law from a number of different perspectives, whether as a lawyer in private practice for 27 years, where I was surrounded by a number of MU graduates. In fact, when I started my clerkship with Judge Collinson, an MU grad, the first clerk I clerked with was Chris Schenck, who was also an MU grad, and he's here today with his son Curtis, who recently graduated last year. But I've seen it as a practicing lawyer. I've seen it as a university system and campus administrator. And part of my job was to assess and support professional schools of the university. I've seen the law school as general counsel, where the law school and the faculty are sometimes my clients. And I've seen it as a parent, helping a son consider a law school to go to. And what I want to convey to this group is that from all of those vantage points, it's by my consistent observation that the faculty of this school is and has been for decades helping our students get someplace. They provide our students with absolutely top-notch instruction, and the school produces top-flight lawyers. Now, it's great, I think, that you all have improved in the rankings in the last year. But it's important to note that those rankings measure inputs for the most part, not outputs. Not the type of students, and not the type of lawyers that you produce so well. Those who practice in Missouri, who've had vantage points from which to observe the products of this institution, know what terrific instruction our students receive from talented and conscientious faculty, and what quality and ethical lawyers they produce. So what's the moral of this story in the turtle analogy? And that is, if you look out of this room, from my vantage point, I see a bunch of turtles. I see people who have been assisted by terrific faculty members in this law school to get where they need to go. So Dean Myers and members of the faculty, keep putting turtles on fence posts. You're producing great lawyers, examples of which are so abundant in this room. And I'm very honored tonight to be part of it, and thank you very much for this recognition.